Alrighty, forgot my drink. Great. But anyway, we are live from Columbus, OH, and this is the Ramsey Show Aftershow show. Number 579 today. Very nice. Let's get into it. I am a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach, not just some guy. And you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation / assessment with me by emailing coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Just email some dates and times you might be available, and we will work it out. I used to use a website for that, but my work schedule changes on a dime these days, and so just spending too much time updating it, so we'll just work it out through email. You're watching this on youtube.com/coachstevemoney, and for my financial content, just scroll past the Oak Island and the Skinwalker Ranch playlists, and you'll see the Ramsey Show Aftershow show playlist. That's this one. Again, today is show number 579, so been doing it a minute, as the kids say. Answering your financial questions with Ramsey Solutions Certified Coach Steve Money. That is me, and that is an 8 p.m. Eastern Time stream. And I do those most days that I cannot do an after show, which starts at 11:05 a.m., which you well know because that's about what time it is now. And the music playlist has 12 Ramsey adjacent songs in there, including How to Do the Baby Steps Right. And of course, When You're on Baby Step 2, No Spending Money to Seem Cool, Dum Dum. When You're on Baby Step 2. Righty. Market report. So after some rough days, take a look at that. S&P 500 after some, well, there were some right in here, but then that happened. So let's look at the month. Let's see, what are we looking at here? Well, it doesn't, when you look at the 6-month view of it, it doesn't look like there's been any rough days recently. I mean, I guess if you want to consider that. See, that's what we want to know. What is that? What that would be August 21. Let's look at the month view and find August 21. Is that? No, it's right there. All right. So yeah, that part is what I'm looking at there. And then it was like, oh, okay, never mind. We're good. And that's what the market always does. And people say, yeah, but maybe next time the market won't come back. Well, then America's over then if that happens. If it does not come back and go to a new high, America's over, and you got more problems than your retirement account. So, not on that if you want something to worry about. Let's see, put everything up today. Russell Small Cap Index leading the way again. Very nice. And you should have the 4-way split that Mr. Ramsey recommends. He calls them different names, but they are international, of course, and then small, mid, and large cap. Managed mutual funds for retirement. And why would you do managed instead of just the index funds? Index funds are cheaper, and I know exactly what those are, and those are just easy, and then I don't have to do any other work. Yeah, but you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not getting a managed fund that makes more than the index. Your call. Let's see what the rest of the planet is looking like. Mostly down in Asia. I mean Europe, excuse me. Asia also mostly down. Let's see what that US dollar is looking like on good US market days. The dollar's generally down. Let's see. But it's up against the euro, up against the Japanese yen. up against the British pound, low. Down to the Canadian dollar, though, eh? Sorry, they're probably not sorry. And up against the Australian dollar, mate. That's a very interesting. Interesting how you can be up against all of the other currencies, but then to one country you're down. I mean, and it is just a hair, 0.063%. So that's not that much at all, but still, it's interesting to see why that would, what would make that happen. I don't know enough about currency and that type of thing to know what the reasons would be, what the parameters around that would be, but that's just something I just thought about just now. Anybody interesting reporting? We got the crowd strike. Oh, we got, is today the 27th? It is. So at 5 p.m., NVIDIA will report. And a lot of times when NVIDIA has really good reports, that can propel the entire market. Also, Marvel Technology tomorrow, and that has nothing to do with Iron Man or the Thunderbolts or the Fantastic Four. Most follow single stocks on the Google, and the most up, all of those are up today. Oh, except for Meta, down 0.79% now. That would be the artist formerly known as Facebook. They also own the Gram. 6-1. So Tesla up the most of all these. And I don't have a particular article, but let's check some headlines. Headlines. That's when the little music would come up and the graphics and stuff. I haven't evolved to that step yet, but I will one day. Cracker Barrel will ditch new woke logo after backlash from Trump and others. Okay, I've never seen the new woke logo. That's not it, is it? That's the old one, right? I haven't seen that. If I remember, I probably won't. I'll take a look at that later. Actually, no. Let's do it right freaking now. Cracker Barrel woke logo. Scraps new go to keep old timer after listening to customers. So that's the old one again. But they just changed into that. Well, because it's just the sign. It's just the name itself and no person on it. So if we don't put a person on it, we can't be accused of anything, I guess, is their thoughts on that. All right. Cool. What Fed must do now after Jerome Powell's Jackson Hole epiphany? Jackson Hole? That's from The Last of Us. Featured in season 2 of the game. I mean, of the series. Interesting. I wonder if that's actually what it is. And Jerome Powell, chairman of the Fed, actually referenced that for something. I'll take a look. I'm intrigued. And of course, let's see. We gotta allow the ads for just this page only. Don't get excited, Fox. Powell's comment open door to September rate cuts as Treasury yields tumble. Okay. Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Oh, is that where he spoke? Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. delivers final speech. All right. Okay. Okay. He was just there. Okay. My bad. My bad. Got all excited for nothing. I thought it was going to be. So the epiphany that he had there, it was just, he was there. Okay. Yeah, and it is a real place, obviously. As are most locations in the game. Trump and Powell met in Jackson Hole. All right. In 1991, he moved to the U.S. I don't keep up with the news, Crumb. If he moved to the U.S. and delivered pizza for $4.25 an hour. Now he owns over 270 pizza restaurants. Congratulations. Wall Street Journal. Apple makes music push in radio after losing ground to Spotify. Okay. Interesting. Apple, technology wants to get involved with an old technology, but I mean, advertising is advertising. Money's money. SpaceX's giant Starship Mars rocket nails critical 10th test flight in stunning comeback. Okay. Whistleblower says Trump officials copied millions of social security numbers. All right. And, I mean, any other presidents, people could have done that as well. And it just didn't get reported. There was just no whistleblower. That could have happened. Or this is all BS as well. Could be. Best Amazon Labor Day sales of 2025. That's right. September 1st. And so far, I'm off work. So there would be an after show that day. I think there's always a Ramsey show that day. I don't think they take that day off. I can't recall at the moment. But I'll be doing an after show regardless, even if that is a rerun. Unless, of course, I can get a shift because that's double time, and I don't know about you guys, but I like money. Fox Business. Liddy keeps prices down. Oh, little. I think that's little. That's like your UK Aldi, I believe is what that is. What up, Sid? Keeps prices down despite economic pressures using innovative strategy. Imagine that. Well, okay. They got me. All right, so one more. One more block. One more page for them. All right, you got me excited about it. Let's see what the innovative strategy is. To not spend money on dumb stuff? Is that what it is? Let's see. The discount grocer focus on simple operations and smaller stores to maintain price leadership. All right. Is it as simple as that? Anything else? You cannot have the lowest price unless you have the low cost structure. Yeah, all right. Alrighty then. Interesting. I wonder where this is. Where is this? This is Old Kent Road on May 8th in 2024 in London, England. Cool. And the same. Okay. Fox Business. Come on. You got the same two photos there in a row. Need some editors. Fox Business saving money on doing cost cutting as well by not having good editors or copy approvers or whatever. It's one example of how the company is looking for ways to boost its efficiency. The company also focuses on having a smaller selection of products, which the chief executive said underpin everything the company does. And yeah, that's very important. That's why you had your .com bubble burst. It's because websites became the thing, and instead of growing slowly to see what a new thing would look like, and what would be appropriate for it, they started renting, $1 million buildings and stuff like that. Anybody with a website, and guess what? All websites did not work out. And so they jumped the gun on that. And of course, let's check the NVIDIA for today. Oh, a little bit down, just barely down, just a hair down before the earnings this evening. Interactive Brokers will be replacing Walgreens in the S&P 500. Beep, 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 beep for Walgreens. Can't stay in the S&P 500. Alrighty. What else do I check on here? Anything? Nope. Think we got everything. How about we do some questions? That would be fun. Since they're doing well, baby boy slept 5 hours last night. Not that I did. LOL. Of course not, Sid. How dare you even think a thing is possible? Yeah, I have no complaints whatsoever because both my kids, except for rare exceptions, slept through the night immediately. S&P 501. Okay. Yeah. They can say that they're part of that, I guess. Unless they got moved down even more. Unless there's other companies ahead of them that are in the 501. They might be in the S&P 600 though. You gotta do glass half full. They're still probably making money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business, I would think. Die Walker. No, probably Walker. Amortization schedules. I have a question for all the money crunchers out there. When it comes to mortgage and auto loans, most of the interest is paid for the first few years. Well, we don't even need to discuss the auto loan part of it because that's a no from Mr. Ramsey. Especially loans that have a shorter term, 5 to 7 years, and generally a mortgage would not do that. So again, no need to even discuss it. So making an extra principal payment at the beginning of the loan saves a ton more money than making it towards the end of the loan. What is the argument for starting to pay extra principal down on a loan when you are in the latter half of the term? I am not seeing that it makes sense. Okay, well, then you don't understand the basic tenets of the Ramsey advice. This is a person on baby step 2, and if you're on baby step 2, you obviously are not on good ground to be having such thought experiments, and this kind of thinking like this is why you're in baby step 2 and not a higher one. The reason to pay extra principal down on the loan in the latter half of it, it doesn't matter about the latter half of it. You would be paying extra principal on the mortgage as soon as you are in baby steps 4, 5, and 6. It doesn't matter if it's the first half of it or the latter half of it. You would be doing it immediately. If you had the money to buy the house outright, you would do that instead of getting a mortgage at all. So the idea is to not owe money on that mortgage. And this, I feel like, for me, this is somebody that just wants to justification station the idea of debt leverage, which would be keeping the mortgage around and not paying extra to it and investing the money instead, because that can bring in a higher amount. 1 minute. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, I'm not saying that it makes sense. Well, Financial Bro is not going to think it makes sense, but it makes sense in the fact that all debt is bad, even on that, and you don't debt leverage by having a loan and also investing extra, other than the 15% to retirement. So you're thinking about it wrong. You're trying to financial bro and you're not on the r/financial bro subreddit. Reverse mortgages, Jethris. Were my kids fed formula? Yes. I believe supplementing with formula was fairly quickly. Don't remember exactly how long in, but yeah, yeah. I think the supplementing was fairly quickly with both of them, and then eventually just formula. I heard him talk about, when you say him means Dave Ramsey. That's the subreddit name of guy had. Formula takes longer to digest, so formula babies sleep longer. Gotcha. Interesting. And that might be a good reason to do that. I'm sure you have your reasons for not doing that, which are fine as well. But then sleep less. I have heard him talk about, but if he's awake longer, he has more life experience instead of sleeping all the time. I heard he can catch up on that when he's a teenager. I've heard him talk about reverse mortgages before, mainly being back in debt and having your children inherit that debt. Yeah. However, what about the situation where you don't have children? You still don't do a reverse mortgage if you need money. Well, let's read the rest of it. Having a large chunk of your net worth tied up in your primary residence, where else are you going to put it? If you need it to live on, guess what? That's time to sell the house then and go rent a very cheap apartment then. You don't have children, guess what? You can probably get a smaller house then. It can be rough. Having it tied up in your primary residence can be rough. Well, not having a mortgage payment or a rent payment is the reason that you would have a primary residence. And a reverse mortgage can free up that equity. We're not trying to free up that equity. You don't need to do that. And if you do need that money, if you can't afford to keep the equity in the house, then you just sell the house and you leave the reverse mortgage company out of it. I guess having to sell your house to go into assisted living can complicate things. It can. But if you are at the point where you need the home equity money to live, it won't matter what happens. I did talk my mother away from her reverse mortgage to buy an RV. Yeah, see, that's the dumb crap people do. It's not because they need it to live. It's because they need it to buy dumb, unnecessary things. But it was more because their health wouldn't support the lifestyle as my wife get older. This is one of the things I'm thinking. That would be a no. You sell the house and you rent instead if you cannot afford to live while also keeping the mortgage. So probably just just people again. People want to do their own little thing, and they're like, I don't understand why. You don't have to understand why. It's all the same. It's all the same. The idea is no debt, and for you to own the house, and even if you are paying a mortgage on it, not a reverse mortgage where they pay you and then they take the house later. But you're supposed to pay off the house early so that you don't have any debt. And so it's no debt and no debt leverage. And if anything you're asking about is debt or debt leverage, the answer's gonna be a no. From Mr. Ramsey, reverse mortgage. Yeah, that's right, Sid. Not everybody can. I did learn how to dream feed the little one, so we don't have to wait for him to wake up hungry. Oh, okay. Cool. And what would be the difference with that? You just got to be very careful to Not wake little one up. Ermagerd. That's right. That's right. That's back when memes were memes. In my day, we didn't have just a picture and nonsense words on it that don't mean anything and say that's a meme. They actually meant something. Budget software with weekly cash flow plan. Does anyone have any recommendations for a good budgeting software? Every dollar? I know that one, and YNAB, you need a budget. Those, I believe, are the only two that I know. Also, there's a thing called a spreadsheet, and that's what I use. I would prefer weekly cash flow planning. Okay, find one that has that. So what you can do is there's this thing called the Google, and you can go onto it. See, you can open this. Now, yours won't look as cool as this and have Ellie and Joel on it, but you can download this, and then it would. So but one thing at a time. We want to know about what is it we want to know about? I completely forgot. Got sidetracked. The weekly cash flow plan. Budget apps with weekly cash flow plan, and of course, may want a recommendation from somebody on here, and that may be somebody that has actually used it instead of just the Google reporting what's out there on the internet about it. But that would give you some to check out, and then you could check out individual ones and perhaps see testimonials on that, which would be the same thing, which would be a way I would go. So I don't run to the Reddit for anything except content. Scooping him up while they scoop it up. Scoop and score, Sid. Scoop and score. While he's in deep sleep when it's quiet and dark. Code Monkey, see and do. Alright. Lost job, knew it was coming, made emergency fund instead of paying off debt due to Dave's advice. That's correct. That would be, if you know you're going to lose a job, that's when you have storm mode. And that's when you pause the baby steps and just pile up cash. We're not in great shape, we're in better shape, and that's enough. Thank you, Dave. Yep. The title is the story. Okay. Cool. Cool story, bro. Chili Char. Or like character. Probably Chili Char. Retirement account for daughter. I'm finding info in this to be difficult to decipher. I'm finding your question or comment difficult to decipher because you have no periods in it. How about we use periods? Here's my idea, and I don't know how to go about it. In a little over a year, a lot of my mistakes will be corrected. I want to make it. See, I didn't pause because there's no period there. A little over a year, a lot of my mistakes will be corrected. Great. If you can do that in 1 year as opposed to more than 1 year, that's better. I want to make a retirement account for my 4-year-old before she is 5. What's the hurry, brah? My thinking was $1,000 down payment and $1,000 a year invested into it. What I've been told is up years and down years combined, the S&P still goes about 10% a year up. Average, yes. When she's 22, the year an average person gets out of college in my family, she takes over the account. And as long as she continues to do this, she can have close to $1.25 million. I realize that's in today's money, yep. But she can add more than just $100 a month when she's ready to, and that would not have an additional O on it. 2 O's means also. Ready to do something would just be 2O, but and if you do text to speech, doesn't that automatically add the periods? I don't know how it works. I don't go in for all that technology stuff. Where are we? Oh, it was one more word. Okay. Yeah, but you also get some real estate and my dad's assets that will be handed down to me, down to her when I die. But where do I go about getting started with this? The Ramsey advice would be that you don't do that. Because you're trying to do a retirement account and you can't. They have to be working in order to have an actual retirement account. But you can open a brokerage account for any reason. But you would not be doing that while you still have baby steps to do. You would not be putting $100. Well, you still have a year before your mistakes will be corrected, and maybe you're talking about starting after that. But you would not start doing that before you paid off the house. Even there's no extra investing besides the 15%, and you only start that on step 4, so you shouldn't be doing that either if you have debt right now. So there wouldn't be any investing, not even for yourself. So you're doing it wrong. You're thinking about it wrong. But the idea for kids is that any money, you don't want to lock it up in something. It's like you said, you want to be a retirement account. It wouldn't be one because she's not working at 5 years old, I hope. I mean, maybe it could be an actress, that kind of thing. But not working probably. And so you can't have a retirement account. So it would just be a regular investing account. And what it should be more like is in a high yield savings account. And that way the money is there for anything the child needs or / wants. Expensive clothes, that's out of your regular clothing budget. It's like, okay, well, we dip into your money, and that's less car money, like a car or anything. And you just pile up cash is the advice for that for kids, so that they have it to get through life. Buy car, move out of your house eventually, etc., etc. And that would be more important than you doing this, which you can do on the Ramsey plan, but you would have to be in baby step 7 to be doing that stuff. People always want to do things early. Always. Oh, you have to narrate punctuation? Okay, yeah, I have heard that. In like movies and stuff, I have heard say blah, 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 period. Yeah, I got you. Okay. Dream feeder. I believe you make it through the night. Okay. Oh, that's right. Oh, because Sid's the dream feeder. Got it. Westworld, value of 16-year-old's first car. It can be anything. They can also not get their own car. It's not a law. If you have a child, it does, it's not a commandment that says you have to buy the kid a car. And definitely don't co-sign for them like my dad did for me. We were dumb. Fortunately for him and myself, I guess, I paid it off. My half-brother did not pay off some things that were co-signed for by my parents, unfortunately. I'm looking for Dave's take on this. Hoping someone has seen this asked or otherwise addressed in financial piece at some point. If we're supposed to have the total value of 50% or less than our income for vehicles, how does it work for a 16-year-old getting their first car? If he makes $9K a year at his part-time job, aim for $4,500? No, because you don't go for the maximum. You don't try to max out spending. If you set a precedent for maxing out spending, you're doing it wrong. You buy the cheapest one that can make it work. And of course, you buy it in cash. What if they don't work much or at all? Not the case for our child, but curious. Then they don't need a car. If they don't have to go to work, they don't need a car. What do they need a car for? At 16. I'm sure it's fun, and I'm sure it is more convenient for parents, because then they don't have to drive the teenager everywhere. Because that does get old, of course, but not necessary for a 16-year-old to have a car at all. And guess what? If they have a driver's license, you can let them drive your car and go by themselves. How about that? And that way they avoid having to pay that. But also, guess what? If you don't put money in a retirement account for the kid, then you might have some extra cash to buy a car like that for the child. Fantastic ad 8728. This is not an ad. It puts the capital A and the lowercase d in there on a Reddit suggested user ID. Found out. 28 man, $120,000 in annuity. Need advice for future. No annuities. You do not do that, Mr. Ramsey. Not a fan. Short background about myself. Amount myself. All right. My wife and I, not me and my wife. Let's not be hillbillies. Some hillbillies know correct English. Just turned 28, 3 kids. We currently have a home in a nice neighborhood. I'm a union tradesman, and my wife works as a team leader at a big brand distillery. I make roughly $125 to $135 a year with my annuity. My wife makes around $65K a year. I can expect 3 to 6% raises a year. Make that with your annuity. You're already getting annuity payments. And my wife can expect 3 to 4% raises a year. I get roughly $5K in bonuses a year. Well, all the upcoming raises, you don't know. You never know. Companies can change policy. They can go out of business, whatever. You don't count on that ahead of time. So you don't say, okay, well, with my raises in about, over the next 5 years and her raises over the over the next, X number of years, then we can buy a way more expensive house. That's going to be a no. 5K bonuses every year, 6K in bonus, 6, 7 for a wife. Our healthcare is top tier. Healthcare is one word, isn't it? Yeah, healthcare is one word. As free as part of my union contract. I have an HRA. IRA maybe? And I never touch it. I get 50 cents per hour worked and also a bank roll over at the end of every calendar year that reset. Okay. What is the dealio here? So if you're already getting the annuity, that would be fine because then you can invest that in something that generates more money than the annuity. Okay, my goodness. Basically, my health insurance is $1,305. That's a little bit. That's for a family though, I guess, or at least he and the wife. Contractors pay My contractors pay $10.05 per hour on my behalf. So basically, I have to work 130 hours a month to maintain my insurance. Okay. Every hour over, we'll go to my bank until I can. Okay, what about it? All right. So what is the deal? Now it says HRA again. So health retirement account. I don't know what that is. I don't know what HRA is. Let's look it up. So again, you have this thing called the Google where you can just go HRA. And you got to do it correctly. HRA. Now, we don't want human resources involved. They'll be like, Steve, stop saying that's what she said. Health reimbursement arrangement. Okay. So, gotcha. Employer funded health plan that reimburses employees tax free. Okay. So this is, I guess it's kind of like a health savings account, but the employer puts money into it. All right. So, but what's that doesn't really have anything to do with the overall question. I don't think. So, I mean, this is a lot of stuff. It has nothing to do with the annuity. Is that is that the crux of your future question? Question about the future? Sending you back to the future. My goal with it is to pay for my health insurance out of it as long as I can when I retire early. Hope it gets me to at least 65. Okay, well, you can make sure that it does by adding to it yourself if you can, or having other savings for that end. A home we purchased 1 year ago, financed $244K. We currently own around $234K. Yep, that's how it works. You paid off $10,000 of it in 1 year. That is how it works. Not going to be that much. And make $200 to $500 extra a month on it. What? We don't try and do anything. We try to. So, again, not that educated, maybe, or just doesn't care, which is worse. We currently have around $22K in credit card debits. That would be debt. The $22K is from a few different things. Bought all new furniture. It doesn't matter. Too many details. What is the actual question here? Currently, we have 2 car payments. The advice is. Need advice for the future is do the freaking baby steps and quit doing dumb stuff that you're doing. Keep doing the smart stuff, which is, working, which is having the health insurance. Quit doing the dumb stuff, which is the 2 car payments, the lease, and the finance, Explorer ST. So, $956 lease. He can rent an apartment for that. Long story short, I made some not so great financial decisions and continue to do so. It seems like the last 8 years I've owned multiple high-end sports cars and trucks. I bet. Okay, I don't care what kind. We have blown tons of money on food, yep, and just really unnecessary things. But over the last 4 months, we're really locked down on spending. Well, that's good. As I've started coming to my senses, that's a good thing to come to. I've spent well over $300,000 in car payments and down payments over the last 8 years. That's crazy. And I've basically nothing to show for it. Yeah, that's dumbass behavior is what that is. We have around $8K total between our checking and savings accounts. You would take that down to $1,000, my friend, and you would put the rest to debt. And so, again, let me introduce you to the baby steps, hillbilly guy. Baby steps, hillbilly guy. Get to know each other. Do this. Do what it says on the page. Do the Ramsey advice. Where is that? Let's see. So after all that, here is my question. Where do I stand? You stand like an idiot. $300,000 spent over the last 8 years and you have nothing to show for it. That's dumb. So you're not in a great place. Am I in good financial position for my future? No. We'd really like to retire at 58. That's probably not going to happen. My 5-year plan would be to eliminate all the car payments and credit card debt. If you cannot pay off your non-mortgage debt in 3 years, then that is when you have to sell vehicles and houses. So, no, you're not in a good place. When my truck lease is up, I'll make those 956 payments towards the credit cards and or her car payment. You can get out of the lease early. Yes, you're going to have to pay stupid tax on that, but that's better than keeping the lease. Then we'd like to buy a nice lake house. $300 to $400K that we can rent out when we don't use it. Justification station. We're going to rent it out when we don't use it, so it's okay. At the very least, to try to, you idiot. pay for half of itself a year. See, justification station, you don't know that you could always have renters in it. You don't know that. And you do not do business stuff like this. You do not become a landlord on baby step 2. You're being an idiot. As we are lake people, I don't give a crap if you're a lake person. There's no lake for you, except you can go rent one. You can rent a lake house and frequent it on the weekends with friends and family. I don't give a crap. I don't care. My family has never been financial. The only thing I care about is I want you to have better finances. I've never been financially literate. No. Okay. So I don't have many role models outside of my dad, if you will, to base things off of. Have Mr. Ramsey be your role model. Really just looking for some sort of advice and opinions. All comments are appreciated. It's very simple. Stop being a dumbass. Learn the English language instead of spending money. Just learn the English language. That would be good. And follow the Ramsey advice. 20 million documented success stories. 30 years he's been giving this advice, this same advice, and it still works. And so you do it and you quit having ideas on your own and stop buying things. There's no lake house. You know when you would get a lake house, a second house, or even if you leave yourself out of it, or even if you were just buying it to be a rental property, that happens in step 7, and you are way many years away from that. So you should not even be thinking about spending more money buying a freaking lake house, you dummy. You're doing it wrong, in short. All right. Fun times. Mortgage or invest, snooze 78059. You pay off the mortgage instead. Are you talking about getting one? Let's see. Husband and I have no debt besides a mortgage. Should we focus on paying off the mortgage or grass, or focus on maxing our RSP and investing in stocks? You would not do single stocks anyway. You would do managed mutual funds in retirement. You do 15% into retirement while you still have a mortgage. So that would be the dealio. It says it right here in the baby steps. It says invest 15%. It doesn't say invest more than that instead of pay off your mortgage anywhere. In fact, it says pay off your home early. So why can't people figure this out? It's because they want to do something different, which they are welcome to do. And you can do something different without posting it on the Dave Ramsey subreddit. But of course, keep posting it, because that way I know about it, and that's more content for me. So thank you for being dumb. Italian Blend, end-of-life care account. Hi, are there any specific accounts to pay into to save money for end-of-life care, like assisted living, memory care, etc.? Or do you generally just use your nest egg for this? What's the best way to prepare for this? Yeah, you can just use any kind of assets you have to pay for that. Probably. I mean, it's end of life care. I mean, it probably is medical, so you could probably use HSA money for that. So you could put money into that, and that grows over time. And so you would just not use it for any medical expenses. You would just cash flow those and just leave the HSA to be the end of life care account. But other than that, you just use whatever you got to use. Like if you have a house and you get moved into assisted living facility, something like that, you sell the house and you use the house money to pay for your end of life account. So I don't know necessarily, you don't have to have any particular account for that. That's just your nest egg would be used for that. So I don't recall Mr. Ramsey saying anything about that ever. So may have advice for it, but if so, I'm not aware of it. Stooge 12, close to stopping work. Why do we want to stop work? Boo, boo, boo. Oh, bummer. My son is working today. No canes. So sad. I'm off. Close to stopping work. We're planning early retirement next May. Okay, that you can stop when you retire. You can stop work. That's fine. Should you be retiring though, since it's early? A lot of people want to retire early, but they're not in a financial position to do that. But house paid for and no other debt, so this person might be in a position to do that. We'll have approximately $1 million in tax advantage, 59 and a half money. That's right. And see, that is the problem. So to be planning for the early retirement, you would generally do what is called a bridge account, meaning you would open up like just a brokerage account and invest in there as well in order to so you have money to live on until that 59 and a half, where you can get that tax advantaged money without paying penalties. About the same in cash, 100 million in cash too. So that I would not advise. I would have that in the market probably. At least in a high yield savings account. My goodness, they may have it in a high yield savings account. Also, 2 rental properties. Okay, you might be all right if you don't. It says no other debt, so retire early then. Knock yourself out. Question is, using the 4% rule, which we don't use in the Ramsey world, the Ramsey verse, we don't use that. That's dumb. Because the problem is you can't say that you'll be able to pay for all of your expenses in the future when you retire by taking out 4%. You might have to take out more than that. And it's fine. The math says that it's fine if you make an average of 10% a year, which you should be making more using the managed mutual funds that make more than the index. But if you're making 10%, you can take out 8 without affecting the basis or the principal. The same amount you have in there, you're not cutting into the amount that's in there. You're just taking out the less than the gains, actually, on average. And so you don't have to limit yourself to 4%. Mr. Ramsey is not about that. The 4% is a financial bro rule. It's like basically the standard kind of thing that they say for that. And yeah, nobody's saying, not even Mr. Ramsey, take out more than you need. No, you would not do that. You would let it grow. So if you're only taking out more than you need and you need 6, then you don't need to have a conniption because it's not the 4% rule. Using the 4% rule, well, we don't use it here. But anyway, we'd be better off to take $800K, buy 2 new construction paid for rental houses. That on our area, that would be in our area, not on, are renting for $3K a month. Sounds like $72K a year versus $32K. All right. But guess what? Rental houses have problems. Mutual funds do not. I mean, yeah, they can go down value, but you can just change out the investment if you need to. But something like a house, your renters could not pay you. You could have bad renters. They could destroy the house. You could need a new roof. I know the new construction paid for rental houses, but eventually you will have problems in it. That's how houses work. And so, you're already a landlord though, so you may know what you're doing. So that's fine. I mean, that choice is up to you, but there's going to be headaches involved, and it may not be as lucrative as you think. This thing looks like, oh, over twice as much money. But again, you invoking the 4% rule here doesn't even apply. How are you applying the 4% rule? Is that 4%? I see. I think I see what they're saying. Taxes may be different. Indeed. Maintenance, yeah. Sometimes have renter issues. Yeah. And that should be. That doesn't sound like a fun retirement to me, dealing with all that crap. But, my name is Paul, and that's between y'all. You already have 2 rental properties, so you know exactly what it is. You know more about it than I do, as a matter of fact. So I will trust you on that. But again, when would we be doing this? Step 7. So you would have to be on step 7 to be doing this, or to have these 2 rental properties. Otherwise, you're doing it wrong. Seems like the better play. Thoughts? If it works out in your favor, yeah, but we don't know if it's going to work out in your favor. If the other 2 rental properties are doing well for you, which doesn't mean that the new ones will. I mean, you can do that and make that your, since you're buying them in cash, you can make that your part of your retirement, the income from the rental houses. And if worse comes to worse, you can always sell them later. So I don't have a problem with that. If you're in baby step 7. If you're not baby step 7, which I think they're in baby step 7 because it says house paid for and no other debt. And so, unless this person is doing something sly and not admitting to the debt on the rental properties, because it's business, so that's separate. No, it's not. So if that's mortgage, but he's talking about taking $800K, which they have, $1 million in tax advantage free money. So my question would be, why didn't you already have that in there? Why is you have $1 million in cash instead of already having 2 new construction homes? So that would be the reason. That would be the reason why. The only thing that I would ask is, what was the reason for that? And that might be a good reason to not do this in the future either. Whatever made you have the liquid cash instead of already buying new houses. Top Plankton, 1798 at a crossroads, trying to get out of the debt I created. Okay, well, I mean, it's not that dramatic as you're making it. But, I mean, anything is a crossroads or a turning point if you're changing your behavior with finances, and that's exactly what you need to do if you have debt. And so you just follow these baby steps. So what's the question? Hi, all, 34, single, no kids. I'm on the fence about keeping my house versus selling and resetting my finances, income, and take-home gross. $100,000 a year plus $7,500 annual bonus. No 401k contributions right now. Take-home is $5,128. The house mortgage is $1,090. So that is, that's 25%. So I don't see a problem with keeping the house if you would like to. Don't have to sell the house. You could and move down in house, and that would help your finances very much quicker, but it's up to you. Rate 3.25%, $129,000 balance. Value is $220. So could get 100K in cash to be able to handle debt. So let's see. Depending on sale and fees, I'd clear my 61.5K debt and likely walk with anywhere from $3,000 to $15,000 cash in pocket. Yes. Debt $61,500 total. Yeah, it doesn't matter what it's in. Dumb stuff, just like all of us. But it did dumb stuff with it. Borrowed money, personal loans, blah 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 blah. All dumb. Every bit of it dumb as crap. What are we doing? Zero savings. Boop, boop, boo doo. And so guess what? Guess what? Would walk with anywhere from 3,000 to 15,000. That's the beginnings of your full emergency fund right there. House sells. All 61.5 debt is gone instantly. Yes. I pocket somewhere. Yes. After everything. I start saving / investing immediately. No. You do the full emergency fund first, which if you get 15K, that may be enough. I don't know. You might have to save more, but then on step 4, you can do that. But step 3 is the full emergency fund, and you get that completely done before you invest 1 penny. 1,000 into a high yield savings account each month until I have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. No. You would put all extra money, any available cent, into the full emergency fund. I don't recommend the high yield savings account because emergencies don't wait 1 to 3 days for that transfer. Also, not being married. You know, if you're in a coma, you're in a hospital, who's gonna arrange that transfer if you can't do that yourself? So that's kind of an issue. 500 plus into VOO each month. Index funds, you do not make as much as some managed funds, so you need to do those. And you don't just do the freaking S&P 500 index. You do a split of 25%. 4 ways to, what is it, international, small, mid, and large caps. So you get very, very diversified. So you're doing it wrong. It sounds like wants to start saving and doing this investing all at the same time, and that's a no. Only after talking about the investing is that once the emergency fund is built, shift to $1,500 a month in the portfolio. And so again, that's a no. Everybody wants to start investing too early. Everybody wants to do that all the time. At that rate, I have a solid emergency fund in 6 to 12 months, and I'll be investing aggressively by 35 with no debt hanging over me. Alternative, if I keep the house, stick it out, throw 2,000, 2,500 at debt, be debt free in 2.5 to 3 years. 3 is the maximum, so if you can't do it by 3 years, that's when it's time to sell the house. But no emergency fund during that time, and I'd be stressed about any unexpected expense blowing things up. Yep, my roof is old, gutters are bad, the list can go on. Indeed. Smarter to sell. It sounds like the humble pie of renting, living with family for a bit. Renting, Mr. Ramsey, not a fan of adults living with mommy and daddy, and immediately start saving and plus investing. That would be no. Oh yeah, if you sell, then you would be debt free, and so you would save, but you don't save and invest at the same time. You don't save for your emergency fund and invest at the same time. You're doing it wrong, thinking about it wrong. These are 2 different steps. Steps 1, 2, and 3. You do one at a time without moving on to a higher step. So this has to be completely done right here. There should be bricks right here, or maybe a lava pit right there to separate it, so that you know you don't do step 3 and 4 at the same time. But people are nutty. They always want to start investing early, like the guy that wants to set up a retirement account for his 4-year-old by the time she's 5. Edit for clarity. Since I know this will come up, why didn't you just type it for clarity beforehand? Spending habits have already changed. Great. Cut out the lifestyle creep. That is great, and that is what you have to worry about. That's very insightful. You do have to worry about that. People that do this, like, would sell the house and immediately get out of debt because it happens so fast. You're not really sacrificing, other than, of course, not having a house anymore and having to rent. Other than that, you're not sacrificing. So that is good that you've already changed your behavior. And so Let's see. Once I'm debt free, this situation will never happen again. People say that, and they do eventually take out debt as well, but hopefully you won't. Hopefully you've learned. Never go back to this level of debt. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. No debt. The only debt allowed is mortgage. I know how miserable it feels, and I won't put myself there twice, okay? Living within my means will be easy once I have my full paycheck working for me instead of against me. As an adult, I've honestly, of course, had to have one honestly, at least in every show. My debt has slowly grown for 7 years. I've never had the chance to feel financial breathing room. I'm ready for that. Not looking for permission to keep bad habits. I'm asking what's the smartest reset, sell the house now and invest, save immediately, or grind it out for 2 years or 3, you said, and then be free. I mean, it's right on the cusp there. If it would go over 3 years, that's the threshold where you would definitely sell the house. Or a car. If you have a car payment, you can sell the car as well, maybe. To answer a few common questions up front, why only 3 to 15K after paying? Okay, we understand about all that. Why not rent out the house? You're not supposed to do run numbers with mortgage and maintenance. A maintenance fee. It's not realistic, right? And everybody shouldn't be a landlord. Why not rent out the house is so financial, bro. So financial, bro. Debt leverage, etc., etc. And that would be why as well, because your rental property should be something you pay for in cash, and again, only in baby step 7. So quit being dumb, financial bros. Why not side hustle? You could do that. Already work full time in Salesforce administration. Very nice. Train heavily for Ironman triathlons. Okay, that's got nothing to do with your work. That's optional for you to do. No, it's not, dude. No, it's not optional. Got to do the Ironman triathlon. And like, well, you know, Abby from The Last of Us, never miss training, ever, ever, ever. And take overtime when possible. I've increased income before, but the big lever here is debt freedom, all right? What about investing before emergency fund? That's a no, right? That's why I'm torn. Nothing's fine, I'm torn. Fireside, yeah. Fireside and Ramsey side are 2 different things. You get to pick and go about your merry way. So why do you want other people's opinions on it? Just somebody to agree with you, maybe. Says yes, time in the market. Ramsey side says no, build it EF first, right? I'm open to both perspectives. Okay, if you put money in the market, you don't have the money to fix an emergency. You need to build your foundation first, and the part of the foundation is not having to pay debt and also having the full emergency fund. That's your foundation. You have to get that under you before you start freaking debt leveraging. You're debt leveraging to yourself there if you're not building your full emergency fund first. Replacement housing. If I'd sell, I'd rent. That's fine. $1,300 a month, but there are plenty of solid 2-bedroom options available for less than that. Okay. Rent could be a little higher than my 1090 mortgage, right? The amount per month for rent is not the point here. The point is getting out of debt. Trade-off is clear. Selling means higher slightly rent, but I'd instantly be debt-free. I removed the way to 61.5K. Okay, so it sounds like, you know, he's explaining all of the stuff, and so then what is it you need us for then? What was the question there? Was there a question? Oh, or should I keep the house grinded out for 2 years? Oh, see, to ask that, is it smarter? It's a toss-up, because again, if you fix it fast and you actually, even though you say you've been doing it more right, and not overspending, not taking out new debt, etc., etc. If you're not doing that and you go back into the same habits, you have fixed nothing. So some people need to do the thing of taking the long route and pay it off slowly in order to change their behavior. So it all depends, and we can't see the road ahead. But if there is anything you can think of that could possibly drag this to over 3 years to pay off the mortgage, then that would be a definite sell at that point. Alrighty, we've got 12:15 p.m. So a little bonus 15 minutes for you guys. On my off day. I'm Coach Steve Money. I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach, and you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation / assessment with me by emailing coachstevemoney@gmail.com. It's right there. And just tell me you want an appointment, and then we'll set up a date through email. Donations can go to paypal.me/CoachSteveMoney. Alternatively to CashApp, $ Coach Steve Money. It wasn't taken. Walmart gift card to the same email address, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. You can also use that same email address for any questions you have about finances, financial coaching, or just anything on my YouTube channel. Upcoming stream subject to change, probably later tonight. I'll be playing more Last of Us. Probably not that long though, because I work early in the morning. Ramsey Show Aftershow show 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Today is Wednesday, August 27th. The next one will be Monday, September 1st, because I'm working in the mornings coming up here. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, September 3rd, 4th, and 5th for after shows. Answering your financial questions streams 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and Thursday, August 28th. Also Saturday and or Sunday, August 30th and 31st as well. And I understand that might not have been actually in chronological order there. But the Last of Us playthrough I'm doing right now is in the chronological order. Alrighty, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. And as always, make smart. Whoops. Hit it when I do that. Scroll back up, Steve. Always remember to scroll back up. As always, make smart financial decisions. Not just some days, but every day.